and welcome back to the Making It podcast for episode 44. A very rare occasion where I'm doing a podcast in the morning, Dan's doing one at night, but here we are. It is 8:34 out here, and if you give me 1 sec, I can probably tell you what time it is back in the UK. 9:34 p.m.
Yeah, it is.
We can do times. We're 11 hours ahead these days in Sydney. But Dan, welcome back to the podcast, my friend. I hope you've had a great week. How's it been?
Been a good week. Quite a few things to talk about, exciting things to talk about. Been a bit more of a. I've had some ups and downs as well, like emotionally and how I've been feeling. So you know what, it's been a really good week actually. What the first thing I'll mention about my week, because I realise we've still not been able to speak about this yet, but the cup game last week, it almost feels like I have spoke about it, but we haven't been on the podcast since last Wednesday, so we haven't. We went away to Gary Neville's UA92, and we won 1-0 in the cup game. Sean Dyche ball for the last 20 minutes, but it was such a rewarding feeling to travel there and win a cup game. And now next week we're playing the fours at our uni in the next round, so that's very exciting. And you know what, I've got a good feeling about it. We had a game today. We drew 1-1 against Hull. Hull 2's away. One of those games where you kind of take the point. We could have lost in moments, but we also could have won. But it's been a different experience this year coaching. I'm a lot more confident in myself this year, and it's going into the players, which is really good. We had a player today called Ollie who came and played for us, who's not normally in our team, but we needed some numbers. And he said he really enjoyed playing in the team, and he said he really enjoyed my team talks. He said he's never really experienced that in football before. He said it was quite motivating, so I thought that was really awesome. What's that?
Did you do the hands in the middle thing?
No, we didn't get all in the middle and go 3-2-1 up the poly, but we don't do that no more. It's kind of like what I did is we've got this thing I've kind of made this year, which I've shown you, which is called CARE, which is competitive, adaptable, resilient, and empathetic. So I get the boys to talk about that a bit. And then today I went round the whole dressing room. And beforehand I said why I like to coach and what it means to me. And I told the boys I told every lad around the room to say why they want to play, why they enjoy playing football. And then what they said is what I brought into my last bit of the speech. And I was like, that's what we do today, boys. We go out there, we enjoy it, and we're competitive. And then went out and did a warm-up in there. Drew 1-1. Away bus on the way back was good, even though we didn't get the 3 points. Still a bit of singing going on, a bit of karaoke. So it was really good. But Jamie, how's your week and a half been? Because it's been a bit of a later one this week because, you know, you've been ill. And you know what, brother? You're looking a lot fresher. And I know there's a bit of an update with how your sales job is going. So how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I mean, congratulations, first of all. Like I said, with the 1-1 draws, sometimes you look at a draw as we didn't win. But at the same time, at one point in the season, you'll be looking at that draw going, thank God we didn't lose, because every point counts, right? So absolutely, congratulations, bro. I am feeling a bit better now. There's this wonderful, wonderful drug called Panadol. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I would recommend you get some if you're ill. Because I took some yesterday morning when I was in bed and I was like, I can't move. And I was like, wow, I'm great again. I can do everything. So, yeah, I don't know what it was, to be honest. Just really, really bad fever. I won't tell you the biological reason for me knowing I had a fever that I said to Dan. It's true, though. But just really bad headache. Been in bed for the last few days. Missed an interview for a weekend job on Monday, so I was kind of frustrated because I just want to try and bring in a bit of extra income, you know, because obviously there's some days I can't work in the sales job, so it would have just been good to have like a Saturday or a Sunday. I'm used to it with work anyway, you know, with work back home. But from the sales job, you know, it's been really, really nice because I actually managed to get my 3 last week. So I got 2.
Oh,
let's go. I got 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, none on Friday. Unfortunately, I got none yesterday as well. So I am still in a little bit of I need to get out of the zero. But the things I'm doing now is I'm just not thinking about work before work. You know, I'm chilling at home. I'm watching TV. I've just started the gym. Dex also just started the gym, but he's hurt his arm, so he's took the day off work today. His arms are in a lot of pain. Also, Football Manager 26 just came out as well. Just thought I'd let you know. So there's no
Took it to work off some hurt arms.
He's got bad arms. He's like a T-Rex. He's like walking around like this. But no. So the sales stuff is going good. It was just a pressure lifted off my shoulders to know that I can do what I can do, and I knew I could do it anyway. But it's like I've got evidence now. Yesterday I didn't feel too great. I'm not going to put it down to that, but I don't think it helped towards the later part of the shift when people are more at home. Pardon me. But it's been an all right week. Bar the illness, it's been pretty all right. I've not worried about things as much. I went out for Halloween. I got pretty wasted, to be honest. So it was my first proper clubbing night in Sydney. This place is expensive. I was looking at my Kookamara's card, well, your Kookamara's card, while I was getting my ID out, and I was like, God, if only the drinks were this cheap here. They're so expensive for stuff.
It's interesting, Jamie, because you say from the sales, obviously there's some evidence of your results now. And it makes me think of my coaching this year. There's been a bit more evidence of my work because we've been getting results. And last year we didn't so much get that. And it's interesting how we talk about the process a lot. Obviously, that was the episode last week. And me and you are so keen on making sure we have the right habits, we have the right system in place, which we do. But realistically, why do we have a system? Because we still want to see results at the end of it. So it's interesting how we both felt a sense of relief from getting results, but that's not actually what we chase, but that's the thing that's given us relief. So in a way, it's kind of like, could we kind of structure ourselves so we get relief from the process a little bit more? But also, do we need those results? Like, do we actually just need them sometimes to kind of show us what we've been doing? And like you say, it's that evidence, but also it's interesting because it conflicts with the process. It's just funny because we both said the results relieve us, but we don't focus on the results.
Well, the important thing, like I said last week, and like Joe, my coach, said to me was, you don't let the results determine your attitude. You let the attitude determine the results. Right? That's the most important thing, right? And then it's your system. I didn't realize how important a system was when it came to a sales job. I'm someone that likes to fluff. I won't give you the acronym that stands for because there's a swearing in it. But you know what fluffing is? You just speak too much. In hospitality, you're a pro at it because you need to be able to fluff. You need to be able to deal with people. You need to be able to comfort people. You need to be able to just have good chats. When you're at a door with someone, some people don't like the fluff. They don't like it's a warm one today. I'm just my skin's the same color as my shirt. I'm English. It's just a thing that happens. Some people don't like that. You say that to someone, and someone will just go, "Mate, what do you want?" Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And that's also a tough thing, by the way. I've dealt with a lot of people who haven't been that kind, and it's like, but no one has to be kind to you. They're all busy. So it's also dealing with the fact that, oh, hey, you don't like me. I don't even know you. What's that all about? Like, you shouldn't take it personal. I'm still learning that. But when it comes to the system, bro, and we know this from football coaching, the best and most important thing I learned within coaching.
Stop right there. This is Daniel talking here, and I know right now you're enjoying the episode, but I've just got to give a really big shout out to something, and it's Making It Moments. That's where our guests are. That's where the people we bring on to talk about their journeys are. Go and listen to Making It Moments. Go find them on our Spotify and YouTube. Find clips on our socials. Making It Poddy, Making It Moments.
Was that the system made everything else easier. Once I knew the system, once I knew the principles of how we'd like to play, once I knew a basic philosophy of what I believe in, that's when I was like, well, I know what to do. I know what training sessions to put on. I know how we structure this season. I know how we structure the team, and I know what we look for in our players. And it's the same with work. What do you look for? If you go out and do things, if you go out and fluff things, you just go out and do random drills, you go and put out a formation that looks cool on the TV, you'll win a game, but you won't have consistency. I could go to someone's door, give them the charity pitch, and then they donate. But the next time it won't work, and I'll be like, oh, why didn't it work? Because there's no consistency. If you don't have a system, you'll never be able to analyze what went wrong and what went right, because there isn't that consistency.
So why are the results such a relief then?
The results are a relief because they're a proof that your system works. Because until your system works, you think your system's wrong, right? Like, you play a formation at football, and the most tempting thing to do when you're losing is to change it. But sometimes that isn't the answer. Sometimes you need to lose 1, 2, 3, 4 games. Sometimes, like Dan last season, I don't want to bring it up because it's like you're past it, but you'll be thinking, okay, like last season, that was actually just lessons. You're not going to change the way that you play entirely because of one season. Different people, different mentalities, different attitudes, same system. So the important thing is it's that consistency, and results are just a proof that that system and what the effort we put in works. And the reason it's frustrating is because we want those things immediately. But that's because we're humans, and the idea of being patient and waiting for stuff just isn't something that we enjoy. But if we train ourselves to be more patient and enjoy it, eventually it works. Like when I made the sales, the 2 in a day, I was like, really? No, what do you mean? I've just been to 40 other doors that said no. But then it's not about the 40 that say no. It's about the 2 that say yes. If you knock on 10 doors and you get nothing, that's why. And it's the same with everything. If you don't make enough mistakes, you won't learn enough. And that's what I've learned, bro. It's not about the no's, it's about the answers.
I think that sales job will teach you a lot about further life, which I think it has been doing. You know, just like you say there, that's something we spoke about a lot on the podcast about. You know, there's so many no's, but you get that one meaningful yes. And it's interesting because I want to talk about what I did yesterday. But before I speak about it, I want to say something that someone there said. And it was a previous member of what I was doing. And he said, even if you got a yes, that yes might not be for you. You kind of just explore that opportunity and it might unfold into something great, but it might not. And then you move on to the next thing. So he said at a young age as well, like try not to pigeon ourselves into an idea we have. Try not to pigeon ourselves into an area of life we want to be successful in. And that's why we speak about being open-minded to different opinions, different journeys, different adventures, which is what this podcast is all about. In a way, making it podcast is also a very open-minded podcast. You could kind of talk about them in the same sort of way. Now, what I did yesterday is I went to Burnley Football Club because I've got onto this program where it's called The Hive at Burnley, where I'm this member. There's about almost 30 of us, and over the year we get to go into Burnley for like a few days. So yesterday we went in, we had some talks by like the president, some previous Hivers. One of them was called Theo, who I've just mentioned, and there was Gina and Ross. And then we did a stadium tour and we got to meet our mentor. Now, James Cope is my mentor, who I've had phone calls with, the Academy Sports Psych at Burnley. And what I didn't realise is now you're on this hive. I've actually not told you this yet, but it actually gives you the room to like just kind of shadow whenever you want. So if I wanted to, and if I arranged it, like this weekend, I could go down to Burnley and I could shadow James because I'm a Hive member. They actually said like, we want to randomly see you guys around the training round, and we're like, wow, they've actually done something and made the most of Hive because we have only 4 days we get to go in across the year. But I spoke to James and he said, look, you should come down to the training ground like a couple of days as well and see what I do like on an actual day. And also, you know, if I've got a game up near Newcastle, he said I can come and shadow the game and see what he does. So that's a really cool opportunity. And I think it's one of those opportunities where what you put in, you get out of it. So I'm going to try my best to make the most of that. So very, very grateful and very excited. But I think it was interesting because we then had Stuart come in, who's the president of Burnley. And he was saying how one of the lads said, he was like, oh, what you guys learnt today? And he said, oh, not to pigeon yourselves too early. And he actually said that when he pigeons himself early, it was actually a success for him because he focused on that one thing. So it's interesting to hear the other opinion of someone else. And he was an investor for 20 years on Wall Street. And he said like he just went in on that. And that's what made a success. And then he met someone who is I believe the founder or the owner of who run Burnley now. So now he's partnered with him and they own Burnley and they've just bought Espanyol in La Liga. So very interesting person to hear about. This American. It was really cool. People asking questions and just interesting how he said he focused. And I do agree with what Theo said. Like, you don't want to be shut off to just one thing, because, like we always say, if you put all your eggs in that basket and it all goes wrong, it's like, I personally think it's good to focus on that one thing you want in life.
That's right.
Just like we do. We're focused on the things we're passionate about and we run with them, just like this podcast. But if something else were to kind of come up, I don't know, maybe just a random example. We had like someone approach us and they were like, look, I want to help out with your podcast and do a bit of media work for you. We could be a bit pigeonholed and be so focused on just me and you doing the podcast, we might just disregard that. But we could be a bit open to someone helping us out, or open to an opportunity to do with the podcast. So I think what I took from that was what Stuart said was, be focused on what you want to do, and have that drive, have that passion. But I think what Theo was kind of saying is just that be open-minded at the same time. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, bro. I think what you've done at the Hive is just amazing, because when you first told me, I was like, holy shit, like that's awesome. Burnley's an up and coming football club again. They've got a really good, I would say, good man manager in Scott Parker there. So it would make sense for them to have a strong sports psychology department, and it would make sense as well for them to have people that potentially could work there in the future, kind of under their wing. And I think that's great. Like, I think what you're achieving now, bro, just by putting your name out there is great, and this is how important it is when you put your name out there for things, when you reach out to that person, when that person drops you a follow on the internet, or when that person writes a post and you reply to it, just shoot. They say shoot as shoot, just do it. Like, it's just like anything. There's a nice girl that you want to speak to and you want to go on a date with. Don't be a wimp. Just go and shoot the message. It's the same with networking. If you want to speak to someone so bad, they are just a human being. And who knows, maybe they're just as eager to speak to you. And that sounds crazy, because you might be like, why would James want to speak to me? Well, I've got no relevance to him in his life. Yeah, but now you've spoken to him, you mean something to him. And he's given you an opportunity, and he's introduced you to things. And you're like, oh, right. So people do appreciate other people. This is how networking works. And, bro, I think that you are an example of someone that's just took that opportunity, bro, and you've smashed it. And obviously, it was a very good talk. In fact, I didn't know that they bought Espanyol as well. So that's great.
I do want to say, though, like, you say that I've made the most of that opportunity, but it was you who made me realise that opportunity was even there. I remember when we started growing closer at the pub, and there wasn't much going on, so I think Sam told us to go clean the stairs and clean the laundry room.
Yeah.
And we were doing that together, and you told me that story about the shoe guy and Michael Dawson, and it was that moment where it kind of clicked to me, like, blooming heck, like, Jay's switched on, and it made me realise, like, the opportunities that are there in front of me. And you were like, lads, you got to get LinkedIn, you got to get on it. And then I was at uni and I was a bit slow at getting on it, and then I eventually got on it. And if I hadn't got LinkedIn, I would never have messaged James. I would never have even been talking about this Hive opportunity. And with the blogs and everything, bro, like, you're a massive part of that. So as much as I've then took the opportunity, I wouldn't have seen that opportunity if you didn't put it there in front of me to see. So I really appreciate that, brother. I'm very grateful for that. Let's talk a little bit about awkwardness, because it's such a funny feeling. Like, say, yesterday we were at the Hive and they're doing the icebreaker, and we've got to pass the ball round, and we've got to say, basically, the person next to us had to say who they were and their hobbies, and then you then had to get the ball, repeat what they said, and then say yours. And I think it's so funny because, like, as you go around, it's so funny how as soon as it gets closer to other people, you can see them, they start moving about a bit more, they start twitching a bit, like touching jumpers which don't need adjusting, and like, because they're getting awkward and nervous to speak. It's just such a funny feeling, because even the most confident person can feel awkward. And I thought, I've started to realize in those moments I want to be a bit more relaxed and try and break the ease with some people. So when Sam was a good lad who was next to me, and he passed the ball to me, and you're supposed to say what their name is. So I was like, obviously his name's Sam, and I was like, this is Tony. And it's just like the most random thing that people wouldn't expect, and it made a few people laugh. But that awkward feeling, when we meet someone for the first time and it's like really awkward, or like you have an awkward moment, like it's a feeling we can't escape. And I know when I was younger, I used to try and avoid it as much as I could. And then as I got older, I realized, like, don't avoid it, don't run away from it. That feeling is just going to be there no matter what, like we say with imposter syndrome. But what are your views on awkwardness? Because I know you said to me, you spoke a bit about it at work, and how do you battle with that awkward feeling? Because it's something which makes us all so uncomfortable.
Well, you can see it as a weakness or a strength. If you want to gauge someone's true reaction to know what they want, and you can do it again in the sales field, then you can do that test for awkwardness. You can do the, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good, thank you. How are you? Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. We've got a big fundraiser kicking off next month. Don't say anything. And either they're going to go, oh, great, that's your key, go forward. Or they're going to go, you don't say anything. You just stay quiet. Everyone wants to avoid the awkwardness. So, and by the way, I'm the same. Like, I've not suddenly just started this job and then all of a sudden I'm like, nope, not awkward at anything. You give me anything, mate. No, not awkward. So I'm so awkward, like especially at work, because you've got to pitch people. Joe actually asked me to go and pitch the boss and like knock on his door and just randomly pitch him. I'm like, I can't do that. And he's like, yeah, you can. And my boss, Callum, just automatically was in character because he's obviously so used to it. But you want to avoid, why do we want to avoid the awkwardness as people? Well, because it's uncomfortable, right? And there's not a set way that you think the conversation is going to go. I think people like conversation because they've got an idea of where it's going to go. Sometimes from an ego perspective, okay? So some people will speak about the other person because they know in an ego way it's going to flip back. And they know that I've said something positive about you, you're going to say positive about me. Transactional, we both leave happy, right? Or some people know in the other way, I'm going to say something negative and the conversation's going to end. I've satisfied my mind. I don't care about you. So the thing with awkwardness is it's like this awkward mist between two people where the direction could be anywhere. It's like a plane flying through, flying through cloud for miles and miles. At some point they could make a turn and they've just gone the complete wrong way. That's how the conversation will go when it comes to awkwardness. So how do we avoid it? We do the awkward, like the twitching, or like if there's a silence, we'll kind of just be like, all right, see you in a bit. It's such a weird thing. Is there kind of a situation you can think of, maybe in more of a personal situation, maybe a conversation you've had with someone where you're like, this is really awkward, and what made it awkward?
I was going to ask you the exact same question, so I'll bounce that back to you after. I think the situation I'm in now, I actually don't mind. I don't mind awkwardness. I actually quite enjoy it sometimes. Just think it's quite funny. I think I heard Ricky Gervais say it once, like he'd so much rather like he was the one in the awkward situation than someone else, because he knows how much someone else can't bear it, and like he'd rather take that feeling because he finds it quite funny. And I don't like I say, I don't run away from awkwardness these days. I kind of tap into the feeling, and it's something you can't really avoid. But I think the awkward moments I kind of get are like, say, when you're walking past someone, like, and you don't know whether to like stop and have a conversation, or like just nod your head, or like do a fist bump, or like you go up to someone and like you do like a dap, and it's just like the worst dap ever, and like you're just awkward, and it's just like it doesn't flow the right way, and you kind of go about your own day. But I mean, I remember, it's quite funny that I'm going to tell this story actually. When on my second date with Scarlett, I remember. So I don't know if I've ever told you this actually, but I remember she mentioned after the first date, like, oh, like how come we didn't have like a kiss afterwards? And then as we were leaving the second date, I went to like do the kiss, but I didn't realise she just meant like a little like goodbye peck, and obviously I went for a bit more of a peck, and it was just in the middle of the street, mate, in public, and like it was so awkward. But like now it's a moment where it's like we can look back on that and always laugh at it. And I just think if you're ever in an awkward moment, like it's not the best at the time, but don't run away from it. It's just appreciate it's going to be there. And it's always something you can laugh about afterwards. It's always something you can laugh about afterwards. And I think awkwardness is a feeling we all experience and we can't really explain. And people say when you get older, it kind of fades away. But I just think awkwardness is funny, man. I just think it's funny. But what about you? What's an awkward situation you've
You
experienced?
know because you brought it up, and I hope you'd never bring it up. But I made a joke in the Attenborough dressing room,
Oh,
and no one laughed.
that was great. That was great. Like you were awkward, but I was experiencing that, and it was great.
I don't know what I said. I think it was like something like, I don't know, like, was it like "come on lads" or something like that, or I'd said something, and just no
It was
one
something
laughed.
to do with G-Man. It was something to do with G-Man or something.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. What was it? Oh, it was something like, I probably shouldn't have said it. I don't know what it was, but it was something like,
You said something about G-Man. You said something like like not personal, but something about like something if we lost or like if we won, what he's gonna do afterwards or something like that.
yeah, yeah. It was nothing dodgy, by the way, because the way you've just worded it, I've just been like, fucking hell. But yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I remember making the joke and just being like, "Cool, yeah, that's fine." I didn't like football, to be honest. Do you know what, bro? Actually, from that was funny, because that moment actually made me realize I maybe wasn't right for that group, and that sounds like such a reactive fucking statement. Pardon me, but at that moment, I was like, now I feel uncomfortable, because I'm like, okay, well, not even a single reaction, and I'm just like, I'm walking out only with you because you're my mate. And then for the next few weeks, it was kind of like that. I'd just train with the people who didn't have anyone to train with, and it's like, okay, it's kind of time to leave that. To be honest, Dan, I really miss football. I wanted to kind of say that as well, because I was speaking to Graham yesterday about football and what I'd like to do when I get home. Do I want to do the coaching, or do I want to do the football? And I know that Ryan wants me to get on with my own team at Beeston, which I would love. You know, obviously back in June, so I'll be ready for the new season to start as well, which is quite nice. But man, I miss football. Six-a-side league is about to start in Australia for the summer, so I'm really considering getting into that. But it gets pretty
Hey,
tasty.
do
But
it,
have you
big
ever
time.
seen the guys we have to play against, these big Samoan dudes? Like, this is the thing about England. You don't understand what Islanders are. They are massive. All of them. Like, even the kids have got beards like this, and they're like that. And you're telling me I've got to play centre back against one of them? You've got no chance, mate. But football and sports is so good for the soul, and I think that actually, since I've not coached and I've not played football, that's when I've been the worst with my mental health. So I'm trying to find things to replace it, and I can't, and I've actually been looking at trying to get back into my football commentary stuff while I'm out here this week, because
Bro.
I got a follow on Twitter, right, from, I don't know if you know a guy, his name's John Murray. Let's see if I can get the day that it was. So it was yeah, John Murray. It was yesterday. I was at work and I got a notification. John Murray followed you on Twitter. I'm like, no way. This guy's like the iconic football commentator for the BBC. And I've met him at games before, but I was always, again, I felt awkward and I felt too nervous to go up and say, hey, my name's Jamie. I'd love to speak to you. I was always a bit like, oh, hello. Oh, hello, how are you? And, I've just been speaking to him, and he's like the most relaxed, nice person. He's been asking me how Australia is, asking me what my plans are when I get home for commentary and stuff. And he's just like, I just want to leave the podcast with the message of people really are just people. If you've ever really wanted to speak to someone, go and do it. Matthew McConaughey was 56 yesterday, right? I would like to think that he's got another 2 decades on Earth at least. In those 2 decades, I'm going to make it my mission to meet that guy, and I will speak to him. People are just people. Make it happen.
Nah, it's so right. It's so right. And when you talk about the networking and reaching out, we idolize people so much to the point where it's almost like they're inhuman. You know, celebrities, footballers, people who are in positions we want to be in. They're just people, man. And that's how you connect with them, through being a person yourself and just being yourself. That's the main thing in life. Just quickly before we end, on the way back from Burnley, there was a power cut at York, and I had to get a taxi with like 6 random mums I've never met in my life. But that was a little side quest, and it's just like you never know what can happen with your day. And also shout out to Fifi, because he came on, and something me and Jay are going to be doing is little making it mini episodes on exclusive to Instagram Reels and TikTok, so you can go check that out. Fifi is the first person to do one, and also doing a podcast episode if all goes well with a guy called Daniel up here. So he's gone on a bit of a cool business venture, so that should be out this weekend. But Jamie, been an absolute pleasure again, man. It's cool every week, man. It's like today, Lewis in my football team, I told him about the podcast, and he was like, he thought it was really cool. And my housemate Luke was asking about what we're going to talk about today, and it's just cool, like what we kind of come up with each week. I really enjoy it, man. And I love this journey.
Bro, I love it too. And you know what? The nicest part is, Dan, is that it never feels a chore. Even on days where I'm up early and I'm feeling a bit groggy, and days when I'm feeling great and I just want to talk all day, it's just so good. And I just want to say as well, if you enjoy it, then let us know. You know, I know that some people that listen are just our mates, but I've kind of noticed there's a few people I know that, well, maybe they don't like podcasts, and Deck's been listening. People who I don't know. Maybe you're not a podcast person, but until you try it and find the right one for you, well, then you're never going to know. So give us a listen. If you enjoy it, let us know. If you don't already, follow us on TikTok. Making It Minis coming soon. I'm sure there'll be some funny skits in there at some point as well. And we'll get some other stuff in there. So if you enjoy what we do, drop us a follow, drop us a like, and always comment. And have a fantastic week. And we'll see you every Tuesday at 10 in the morning.
Take care, everybody.
See you later. Bye.